Welcome everyone to Arcturian Philosophy. Today, what I'm going to talk about now in the not practice run, in the nice, pretty, more formal run, are who are known as the Men in Black. And it turns out that there is more than one Men in Black group. So first I'm going to describe the history of who these strange men in black have been historically or in reports. Now, a lot of you might think of the movie Men in Black. Now, who I will talk about very much is like the movie Men in Black, but the actual historical reports of the Men in Black have been of basically humans, yellow or gray, hybrid of some type, who would be dressed in a black trench coat, often sunglasses, sometimes not, a suit or a black trench coat, white collar. They'd always have a very shiny, new-looking car, a police-style model type car, or an SUV, or a black pickup truck, always unmarked, always unmarked. And apparently these Men in Black, ever since the 50s and 40s, the first accounts apparently, where witnesses of strange things in the sky, they wouldn't even know if it was a UFO. They wouldn't even be thinking that to themselves. Just know, I saw some strange thing up there, and tell their friends about it. And then they would have a man in black show up. But they show up in pairs. They always come in usually a buddy system or partner system, pairs of two. So two people would show up and basically harass them and tell them, don't talk about this, or say things that are threatening, but in a covert kind of fashion, like someone saying, oh, we could have a hunting accident out here. It's the middle of nowhere and no one would find you. Yeah, just a hunting accident. As kinds of threats like that to people. But the people being threatened at the time, they were talking, back in the 50s, they didn't know or have the genetics to tell them, no, you are actually more powerful than these beings because they're a race that's dying out, and you're a race that is trying to thrive and that is on the verge of a spiritual revolution. So what happened to me, also, first, I'll have to say, somebody finally called me. Well, two people finally called me. But see, to the one person, the one guy who called me, thank you so much for calling me, but here's what happened. Right before you had called me, this is 2 days ago, right before you had called me, someone who was actually also in my state and from the Ashtar Command called me. And I was told I place all my attention on that, and then get back to you later. And so I will do that. So I apologize about that, but I had to really place the focus on the other person that I managed to talk with. And I noticed that they had these, I guess, I'm not very savvy with this stuff, so vlog is what we're calling it. Video blog, is that what it's called? A vlog, and we're spelling it with a V because we're being weird? Okay. Or we're being Dutch? Okay. Something odd. And I would see MIB and Ashtar Command, and I would think, what's MIB? And instantly I would hear Men in Black, like the movie. And that would be it. And I would think, what? Men in Black like the movie? What? What? And so that's why I'm wearing this black. And also they told me, look at the how she has her face veiled like that in the video, because stating that that's like attire that we use for women. Yes, this is true, and you have a garment just like that that will work perfectly for you. And they said, go find this thing. And I realized, oh, hey, yeah, you guys are right. But they said you don't have to like tie it around your face or something. I mean, the idea is that we want people hearing this information. We want people to hear about this. So I was specifically told, yes, we also want you to do some talking on YouTube about this. But here's what happened. So what would, I guess you could call maybe yesterday morning, or it would be this morning, but now it's past midnight, so it's yesterday morning. I woke up about 4:30 in the morning outside on the balcony, and I just I thought, oh my gosh, it's cold, I'm gonna go inside. And I was sitting here, just right here, and I suddenly felt I guess what you could call a transmission somehow hit me. Not hit me, but something like crackling or a static, and I could see these two guys. One was younger with blonde hair, also almost military or crew cut type haircuts, and you could tell that they had extensive military or paramilitary type training, which also involved fighting with aliens type training, so just really out there stuff, in a shiny black car, somewhere in my town, but I wasn't really sure where, in the dark, somewhere in an obscure place, parked there, with the one guy in the driver's seat, who had brown hair, it looked like, and was maybe in his 50s, older, and seemed more human, like more like your normal old human who had gotten into this. And then the younger one was a Pleiadian hybrid, had bright blonde hair, like almost bleach blonde, like bright blonde hair, and bright blue eyes. And he looked though very human. It took me a while to actually figure out he was a Pleiadian hybrid. So at first I didn't know, because he looked he looked very much like a normal human, and seemed very much like a normal human. So I'm like, okay, there are these you two guys are trying to say, like, do you read? Hello, do you copy? Do you see us? Do you understand? And I said, yes, but who are you? What is this? What, demanding instantly, what is your purpose? State your mission. What are you doing? In a very kind of Ashtar Command militarized way. How the Ashtar Command will be militarized in a way, but it's not nearly the same as how we are on Earth. We're like Nazis, or barbarians practically, compared to how their military operates, or at least how the Ashtar Command operates. We are like total barbarians compared to their version of a military, but we don't have a word other than military really for what to call what they're doing, even though they're not fighting or using any of the same kinds of tactics that we do most of the time. But the only word that we can think of is something that fights back, a military. So you could call it almost sort of a military, but it's like a bunch of priests that are fighting at the back, kind of. So the Ashtar Command is not very much like a military, but these two guys in these black suits with white collars, and I had not seen anything about the real Men in Black. Like, when I saw these guys, the first thing I said to them after demanding, who are you, they wouldn't really say, because they were kind of looking between each other, like, what do we tell her? How much are we allowed to tell her? And I realized, something weird is going on, because they were actually talking to themselves. Should we try and get her a security clearance? How much do we tell her? How much are we allowed to tell her? Should we call somebody on this, like call a superior to request, can we get a security clearance for this person because she's requesting information and etc. needs proof that we're not trying to assassinate her and such, and that's a very valid request on her part. But so I was like watching this, and I just thought to myself, "Oh my God, you mean the movie Men in Black is real now? You mean the movie Men in Black is real?" and the younger guy said, "Well, where'd you think they got the idea from?" And I said, "Okay." And now there's something very interesting about the car that they were in. Whatever was up with this car, they didn't use it to actually drive around places very much. It was as if they would use some sort of strange technology on the dash that would cause it to literally blip out of existence into another place. Exactly like what the original Men in Black type sightings have been like. I saw a guy in a car, and then I looked away, and then looked, and then suddenly the guy's gone, and the car didn't drive anywhere. It just poof vanished. I got this feeling that these guys did not, like when they were done, that they weren't going to drive away somewhere. That they were just going to be like, oh, yeah, we disappeared into our other wherever else we went or something. And I kept demanding of them, who are you? What are you doing? Who do you claim to be? What are you claiming to do? I want all the information. I'm not saying anything or doing anything until you provide me that information. And I stuck so solidly to that was where they finally were like looking at each other, saying, okay, wow, she really is insistent about this, okay. And the older guy says, all right, how about I call? And he takes out this gadget. It looked kind of like a smartphone, like almost like a very thin smartphone, like really thin, but glass or some sort of crystal type material, maybe diamond. And it was almost like it didn't use electricity in the same way that we think of. It used some kind of other type of energy. It would have a blue glow to it. I thought the blue glow was cool. I thought to myself, oh my God, I want one of those. Was the first thing I thought when I saw this guy holding this thing. I thought, I want one of those. And they said back to me, oh, we are working on the phone issue for you. Yes, we're going to get you a phone. But that's a little bit later. First, they're trying to say, okay, what do we tell this girl? She keeps asking us, who are we? And we're not allowed to tell her. So, okay. And he puts the phone up, this phone, but it was not like a normal phone at all. And it was maybe the size of a little size of this, or a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit smaller than this, thinner, like very thin, but very sturdy, hard, like if you dropped it or tried to scratch it or something like that, it wouldn't scratch. That's why I think diamond almost, or some sort of strong crystal type material. And he didn't talk. Even though this guy, you could tell was a regular old human guy, he didn't talk really through the phone. It was like it just sort of read through his temple almost what he was thinking. And he was thinking, she's requesting information, and she has some pretty good reasons to want to know. What do we tell her? Do we provide a clearance? And there was a voice on the other end. It was male, and all I heard was granted, and then it hung up immediately. And so the younger guy looked to the older guy and said, oh wow, and I got this instant feeling off of him what he was thinking. was they don't do that very often. This really must be something big, what we're doing. Oh, wow, they don't do that very often like that, just give someone clearance like that over the phone. And so the older guy says to me, the brown-haired, older 50s guy, he had more of a heavier set look to him, was dressed in a black suit, but looked like ex-military of some type. And so he said to me, oh, well, congratulations, you have your first security clearance. We are time travelers. We are a splinter group, you could say, from the groups that are attempting to control the world. And then I started trying to look up Men in Black, like, are these people real? I saw the reports with these evil Men in Black, and I said, what's that? And they said that's also what we splintered from. So we're not exactly the same Men in Black, and this could cause public confusion. And that's why we want the public to know that there is a Men in Black, like the movie, type group that formed itself off of groups like the Masons, the CIA, the FBI, Secret Service, NASA, Homeland Security, Interpol, MI5, the KGB, ex-Nazis, green and black berets, Navy SEALs, basically Marines, any group that you could think of that specializes in doing the craziest of the crazy, or the secretest of the secret, or the smartest of the smart. Things along those lines. These were people that were in those groups, or people like me that were born into them, that rebelled and said, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is wrong. People that were ex-CIA or ex-FBI had decided, I'm willing to put my life on the line to save this planet. And because of now all the ET presence, now we're not getting assassinated for putting our lives on the line to tell everybody about it, because we have so much protection now. And just for a word for all those people, the men and women now, when I look at the videos, the old videos, I will get some of the best information out of the older videos, not the new stuff, because the new stuff's all got reptilian propaganda in it, trying to get snuck into it. Everything is so controlled right now, you don't even want to know. And I'm going to show you my phone at the end of this to show you how my phone is hacked into constantly, and I have to contend with people, attempting to remotely control my phone every time I use it. So we basically we had the situation with all of these different groups abusing their children. The children are being born as star seeds. They're starting to understand. And so there was a minority that slowly began to break apart. And so, with the help of the Ashtar Command, this Men in Black group is partnered up in a way, or they say we're allied with the Ashtar Command, because the other thing they told me is what we are. We are time travelers, and we do that with gray technology. We do have their same particle beam weapons, meaning like ray guns or whatever, things like that. We have their same weapons. We have their same technology. We can fight back just as well as they can, and they know not to come near us. They know that we're winning, and so they were telling me we are an Earth-based organization that you could kind of liken a little bit to the Galactic Federation of Light, but completely regressed because we're so devolved, and we're trying to evolve ourselves with the help of the Ashtar Command. Since the Ashtar Command has a mission and militarized nature, they work very well with military people. Even though to me the Ashtar Command does not really come off like military, sir, yes, sir. Or they have a mission like kind of mindset, which is like what you'd think of as a person in the military a little bit. So it's similar enough for them to work with each other. And so they said, we are like the organizations that are interdimensional, and we are interdimensional right now. We are third and fourth dimensional, and we are trying right now to bridge into the fifth dimension. Some of our younger agents have done it now, and we're trying to bridge that gap in an actual doable way for the Earth. We need to get presence of aliens disclosed. We want to work with Project Camelot, the Disclosure Project. We want to attempt to do this in a way, and also not using a system of money. They said to me, we need to do this in a very careful way, as you've been thinking about this whole time. How do we stop using money? When we've been born into a financial system of slavery, a financial slavery system, and you are totally dependent on the system, and that's the only thing you have ever known, how do you make the big jump to, hey, money was just I got hoodwinked, and this stuff doesn't even have to exist. What am I even doing? What? I'm fumbling over paper and what? I have to pay to be alive? What? And so these lies have been programmed into us since birth, that for some reason we are not just allowed to be alive because we were born. If you were born, that means it is your right to be taken care of and alive. You do not have to, quote, pay or something to be alive. Then that is an inherent human right. That's something ET 101 mentions, when we will figure out that being alive is an inherent human right. Being healthy is an inherent human right. And I actually heard a judge say once on a YouTube video that being healthy was not a human right. And I was in shock. And it was a California, San Francisco judge. And I thought, how dare you even sit in a courtroom in San Francisco? How dare you? So these guys, these men in black, or they thought, I got kind of pissed off at them that they were men, and I would say, excuse me, you're talking to a woman. Hello. And they would say, well, that's why we go by MIB. We don't say men in black. We're saying that so you understand, like, because it's like the movie, but we go by MIB now, just as the initials, because of that issue. And then the one older guy said, "You'll be really impressed with our women's division, with our female division. You'll be very impressed." And I can say I am. And so these guys talked to me for a while. They asked me, okay, so you remember when they were trying to outright assassinate you the first time, the possession attempt the first time, and all the carbon monoxide and everything. You remember all of that? You remember when you looked out the window and you saw the little gray creature there? They told me that was a Yahyel species. That you saw there, a little Yahyel species. And it was actually sitting in a car that I know that it drives, which sounds really weird. And they will do super weird things like that to make the stories sound not credible. But yes, sitting in his car, ironically. But so they were asking me very, concretely, not making light of it at all, saying, so go back to that experience right now and think of it exactly as it happened, as you looked at the Zeta species, and how did you feel? And I thought, okay, how I looked at it, it manifested right there, sitting in a driver's seat of a car, this little thing like Yoda, gray-colored Yoda with little ears, and little kind of Yoda-looking ears, and big eyes, and a glowing blue in them, and it said only two different statements to me. The first statement, it was a question, but it said it like a statement. It said, like a Dalek, like Doctor Who, like a Dalek, almost robotic. What do you want? Like that. And the only emotion that you could really get off of it was like an anger. You could tell that if these things felt emotions, that it was more just along the lines of being angry at stuff, if they felt emotions. And I was just like, whoa, okay, I am seeing an alien, and what? And I just backed away from the window. I put my hands up like this, and I said, what do you want? That was how I reacted. I said, what do you want? Like, excuse me? You're asking me? And you're the one trying to kill me, and you're asking me, what do you want? Like, what do you want? So I actually reacted very much like, how Will Smith reacts in the Men in Black movie, how he's just like, oh, hi, alien, like that. And so that was kind of what they were looking for. And so they said, go, just in your memory, so there you were sitting here, and you then thought to yourself, I was holding a torch lighter, remember? And I thought to myself, hey, you didn't tell me what you wanted, because I thought to myself, I walked away from the window, and I actually said aloud, what do you want? And I meant it. Like, you give me an answer. Excuse me, what do you want? And so I thought that to myself sitting here, while I was leaned over like this, sitting here, and I thought, like, hey, you didn't tell me what you wanted. And then I could just sort of feel a presence in the room, and I heard in my mind, shoot you. And then suddenly, the top of the torchlighter broke, and then did this. And so it would look like a gun, like that. And I just, I was a little shaken for a second, but then I just stopped, and I said, you broke my torchlighter. You broke my torchlighter. And so they kept asking me, did you feel afraid during this? And so, yeah, having the thing say, shoot you, like, that did frighten me for a second, but I snapped out of it so quickly that I said to them, honestly, I didn't really feel afraid. It was just more shocked that I was seeing an alien for the first time ever. I mean, ever in front of me. Alien standing there saying stuff to me. Just shocked. But I wasn't scared of the thing. And you saw how I reacted. I was like, screw you, kind of. And they said, excellent, that's what we want. Particularly that you're not afraid of them. And this is where the guy said, but what you encountered was a Yael species you've never met. And then he started talking about Zeta 1, Zeta 2, and stuff that I don't know about what they mean. So he stopped suddenly, and he said, okay, the little Greys, the tall Greys, and all the between and half-human Greys. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, the little ones, they are very well known to be the worst, to deal with. And it was one thing for you to handle a Yahyel like that, a very clear Yahyel species. They took the image out of my memory, and I also actually saw, come to think of it, I saw this same Yahyel a second time when I was imprisoned, but only for a couple seconds in the room. But it wasn't the same, where it was not fully manifested, like literally sitting there in a body that you could touch. It wasn't fully manifested, but it was the same outline, same little ears, same eyes, and everything, same look. And I could tell it was the same one, who I did not know was like not human and pissed off, let's just say. But you know Churchill? I know Kill Bill. And that's a joke for that Yahyel. It's a really funny joke now, too. It really is. So, the guy says basically, after what we've seen that you can do, we would like to offer you a job, if you would like to work with us. And what you need to understand, though, is that this might be kind of like what they call a door that you cannot close. You always wished that you could be like Doctor Who. Well, what if we told you that it actually is in one of your strongest soul's potentials to be a Doctor Who and be a literal time traveler like us? And I said, well, wow, that sounds really cool, guys. But they said, but this is why we're asking you really think about when you were encountering every single Yahyel or Grey type species that you've ever identified that you've encountered, and how you felt around them. Because this is where our agents have the most problem, and they are pretty damn scary. he almost put it like that. They are pretty damn scary. So you need to really understand. Are you able to? He tried to put a picture in my mind of what the little ones looked like, with the detail of the eyes, the slant this way, the insectoid looking ones. How he say, see that they're cataloged very differently, and going through almost like it was a digital or holographic book of things, similar to what I'd seen on the Ashtar Command, where they're just doing stuff like this, but it was as if he had some kind of information bank he had sort of summoned up and said, see here, briefly, see they're all different types, and they all have they have their similarities, they have all main similarities, which is why we all call them Grey, but there are specifics between the different ones, and the Roswell little ones, you haven't faced them, yet. You haven't come face to face with them yet. And if you think that you have what it takes to basically, like Morpheus saying, or other people in the Matrix saying to Neo, now everyone, Morpheus saying, now I will not lie to you, Neo, everyone who has stood their ground against an agent has died, but where they have failed, you will succeed. But they were saying I had a high potential for that kind of success, but that it's really a stressful thing to be doing, and that I should really be thinking very carefully. Okay. They would give me scenarios like, oh, all right, imagine you're sleeping. Like, imagine in different movies where someone's being trained and there's a gun put up to their head in the middle of their sleep, or they're a spy and they're in a hotel and suddenly a gun's put up to their head in the middle of nowhere and in the middle of their sleep. They have to snap out of their sleep and defend themselves. Do you think you can really do this? If it was if it was a real little Zeta Reticulan, and he would try to show me, the guy who was part Pleiadian would do this, would try to show me the feeling of it, of this complete evil that would just get to people. And I just instantly said, I can do it. I can take it. I can take it. Because my father, I used to call my father the mastermind. And it's a mindset that's like him. It's something that doesn't seem actually very foreign to me. Even though I recognize it as completely evil and sadistic, because I was exposed to it literally from birth, it's not something that will set me off, apparently, or something that I'm very desensitized to. So they realized, oh, okay, she's hard to scare. That's good. She asked us for a lot of information up front. Wouldn't back down. That's good. Then they did this thing when we were done talking. The younger guy, he was pretty cute, by the way. The younger guy, he held up some sort of a little device, and I don't know if it was real or not, or what they were really doing with this, because they told me afterwards this was a test, because we have to do that. I mean, we have to, with what we're dealing with here, and you understand after what you've gone through. So he holds up this little thing. He says, okay, so in the movie Men in Black, they hold up a little device, and then it erases your memory. Well, that's what we're going to do to you right now. So, and then at that exact moment, I said, no! And, or I thought it loudly, no! And, felt like an electricity shoot out of my palms. Couldn't see anything, but felt this powerful, kind of electric pulse, and it was as if the device broke or malfunctioned or something. And I don't know if it was actually something that their real technology or what, but then the Pleiadian kid, he looks down and he says, we're going to have to figure out a new way to do this, And then I suddenly hear him thinking, oh yeah, she passed the test, she's good. And so the guy, he says it to me, even though he's heard, oh, she just heard it. We have to do this. And then the Pleiadian kid, he understood quickly, oh, no, you don't need to understand. I understand completely why you do this, or what your aims were. But the Pleiadian kid is looking at the broken thing or whatever, and is saying, we need a different way to do this. And so the older guy says, well, look, we're dealing with a war of telepaths. What we are trying to do is assess her response. Since she has some telepathic skill sets, you can see, if she had any inclination that what we were doing was fake or staged or a test of any kind, her reaction might not have been what you would term a real life or combat scenario reaction. So we've figured out this is the only way we can do it right now. And then he was talking to the other kid, saying it to him, and the other kid was like, but we could doing this in such a better way. This is so. It was like you see this like Pleiadian thinking, like, you guys are being stupid. You guys are being stupid. One comment that they made, I did write down some stuff. Oh, they were wearing their sunglasses to protect themselves, because like I mentioned, everybody around here started suddenly wearing sunglasses, and I could tell that because the quote hexes that they do have to do with making contact with your eyes and then you looking at something to create your own reality, and they suggest the hex to you basically, and you either respond to it and create the reality, or end up ignoring it somehow or creating a different reality. So if people's eyes are covered with sunglasses and you are trying to do this hex process, whatever it is, that reptilians use a lot, you can't look at the person's eyes because they're covered. So you can't actually do many of the different hexes. I guess it gives people a degree of protection. And I'd already been told, Chris, to get a pair of sunglasses. I mean, it's worth having it because, yeah, they are, they're just going to keep being that way outside. You might as well start protecting yourself in an obvious fashion for them to see. Okay, and so also the two guys, so they were partners. And they kept wanting to try and assess my memory of the event, if I would retain the memory of the event. That was like I was saying, okay, we're going to erase your memory now. And they could see, okay, she has very good recall on this stuff. And one of the reasons for people who might be thinking, well, why would they kind of like half trick you or something at first? It's because in what's going on with this, the people are so seriously backstabbing evil that like in Harry Potter, there's one part in Harry Potter where Professor Lupin goes up to Harry and says, what was the first, like, as if he does not believe that Harry Potter is really Harry Potter, and says, what was the first thing that you saw in my office and whatever? And Harry has to answer him. And it's because the infiltration was between the witches and the wizard was so bad that they had to have ways among themselves to make sure, okay, what side are you on? Who are you? Are you disguised in my friend's body? Because that's real and that exists. And yeah, it's creepy when you first actually realize that's real, or actually really see it in front of you and realize, oh my god, that shapeshift stuff is in my neighborhood. Oh my god. That is a really scary feeling at first. So don't totally freak out, people. We've been through it, and we're going to get through it. This is one of the things that the MIB. So this MIB group, not what you would think of as your men in black that were the harassers or the silencers of before. These are guys who are wanting to get things out, and they want me to talk about it. And one thing that they did say was that they do use money, and that they would eventually attempt to maybe help me with that, but that would be a while. That I would not see them around for a while, but that I would notice synchronistic things. That I would be given telepathic instructions about training, different physical training. Like that's what I was being told to do today. Like I did push-ups for the first time in like 10 years because I was getting told, okay, 10 push-ups. See if you can do 10 push-ups. You did this as a teenager. You took pride in it. You were amazingly physically fit as a teenager, and you can get that stamina all back. You can get all that agility back. You can get all that power that you had back. You can get all that different mixed martial arts. You can get it all back. You just have to want to do it, and we are here to help you slowly build that stamina back up. So they said, eventually there would be some kind of weird scenario. I said I don't believe you guys when they told me this, because they were showing me a scenario where I was meeting with them or their associates or somebody also people dressed in black, men and women dressed in the black suits, and just going over some formalities like signing papers or something, just as a kind of third-dimensional formality. And then different things being passed across a table to me. Okay, this is your phone. Okay, this is this. All right, this is this. This is what this does. This is the manual for this. This is what this does. This is the manual for this. We're going to have this person help you with this. We're going to have this person debrief you with this. And I was like, you mean like literally like a spy movie? Wow, but that can't be real. That is not real. That cannot be real. No, I don't believe you. That's not real. And then I was shown my own memory of, okay, Krista, in the middle of you intercepting Agenda 21, you thought to yourself, okay, this hocus pocus, things flying around of their own accord, and levitating objects, or strange, whatever it is, this is, whatever this is too much for me. And I thought to myself, I'm going to go to my parents' house and tell them, oh my God, there is something strange afoot, Watson, help me. And so I walk out the door, close the door, and start to walk down the stairs, and suddenly I look around and I realize that I was not in the same place that I would have been in normally. Meaning that literally I had walked outside into different infrastructure. So this was not astral projection. This is me sitting here right now saying, oh my God, I am fed up with this crazy stuff going on. I'm taking my keys to my old room, and I'm going in there, and I'm waking you people up. Actually, this was in the middle of the day. This was in the afternoon, maybe around 3 in the afternoon. And so, broad daylight, I go out, I open the door, close the door, lock the door, and then walk down the stairs, and suddenly I realize, oh my God, the dumpster, where there was usually a dumpster, it had suddenly disappeared. There was nothing there. And I looked around and I noticed the buildings were all different colors than they really were. Where I live, if you look at the color of the building, the colors of the buildings were all completely different. And then I looked back. I came back to my own front door, what I thought was my own front door, and I saw suddenly that it had a doorbell installed, and I don't have a doorbell. And I've always wanted a doorbell, but I don't have a doorbell. And I see this nice doorbell is installed, and I see, someone in here, someone lives in here that has money or something. And I try my key in my door, and it doesn't work. And it's got a doorbell on it suddenly. And I look around, and the sun was beating down hot, as if there was just no ozone layer or anything. And literally the entire, it was like I was on a different dimension. I realized, oh my God, I am on a different dimension or something right now. And so they brought that scenario up to me in my mind where the reptilians and the Greys had done that to me. And they said that was Grey technology that was used on you. We have the same technology that we use to fight back. And so if you're thinking something like that can't happen, well, you've already seen it with your own eyes, and that was with people that weren't friendlies. They use the term friendlies. That was with species that weren't friendlies like us, and just having it randomly happen to you, and you had to dig your way out of whatever dimension you were on. I managed to get back. I talked about the story before, but oh yeah, I was scared, thinking, oh my God, I am now lost in nowhere land. I can't get into where I live. Someone else appears to live there. All of these people here are looking at me like I'm food. There aren't any trash cans. what is going on here? There's no ozone layer. Everything looks half different, even though I know it's the same place on the planet, practically. It was really weird. So these guys then, after I passed the whole breaking the memory device test, they said, okay, you're ready. And they said, here, now we're going to pass you over to our women's division, and we think you'll be very pleased to meet your partner. And it was a Russian woman who was about my age, and I suddenly noticed that she had a very prominent slanting of her eyes. It wasn't really, really strong, but it was enough that you would notice, or that you would eventually look and say, oh, it's just your eyes. I don't know how to, your eyes. You would notice it. And I suddenly said, hey, you're Yael. And she did not react very happily to that. She did not like the fact that she was part Yael at all. And said to me, they rape their own children. They torture and molest, and basically the gist of it was that the idea behind her was that she was being bred as like one of their personal concubines. A human that would have Grey traits or Yael traits, so that it could be used as their type of sexual slave, that would understand that more of their concepts that they could have as more of their, more upper class concubine. But it was like with me, where I would have been some kind of upper class slave in the same way, but in a reptilian fashion. She completely said no, and apparently she had to do something like kill her captors, actually outright, third dimensionally, like physically attack or murder whoever was holding her hostage at some point. It seemed like she may have had to have done that. And this girl came off almost as like a Laura Croft. She had her hair pulled back, and it was a long braid, and she had dark hair, and she seemed like she was very physically fit, very athletic, and she seemed like the type of girl who, if you pulled something funny on her, she had a slight accent, if you pulled something funny, weird on her, that she could snap your neck just like that before you even had time to blink. She was also telepathic. She told me mentally, just please do not talk about how I'm please don't. I don't want to talk about it, because I would keep saying, oh my god, you're Yael and you're not trying to kill me. You're Yael and you're not trying to kill me. This is amazing. Because I literally couldn't believe it, that I was encountering someone that was genetically part any form of Grey, and that was actively fighting for the side of the light and did not want to kill me, and that was actually attempting to help me survive. I could not believe it, because every single one of them, of any Grey version, has tried to kill me. So I was I was in total shock, like, whoa, as really happy about the whole thing. And she just said, like, just with with her mind, I can't, I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it. And she told me, you have to learn Russian now. You know how you say you like the Russian spy movies. There's a reason why you do. So, yes, you must learn the Russian now. And so I was like, oh god, man, I have to learn Russian now. Really? I have to learn Russian? Seriously? Also, before we run out of time, I'm going to try and show you guys this thing that's on my phone. So what I'm filming this with is an old phone that's camera still works, but nothing else on it. is really that functional. And this was my actual phone that a 5-year-old ended up breaking because some parents sent them out to attempt to telekinetically throw my phone, which is what happened. But what happens now on this phone, and after I talked to the person who told me about the MIB, and where I told her about how I intercepted part of Agenda 21 with the Ashtar Command, how we were both Ashtar Command. She mentioned, oh yeah, my phone has been acting up actually today a lot. And I said, well, that's not a coincidence. That's them doing that. I thought the same thing, that, oh, my phone just doesn't work or something. That's what they want you to think. That's not really what it is. It's really them manipulating the whole thing. And speaking of manipulating the whole thing, they have it so that I'm chewing up data. They'll change settings on the phone, all kinds of things, so that I have to constantly watch, what is going on the thing. Like, it doesn't know that it's connected to Wi-Fi and all kinds of stuff. Just to try and drain me of money or drain me of data. Okay, there you go. Figure it out, guys. Now, they watch it. They watch what I figured out of the camera of the phone. The back and the front appears to be where they watch out of. And so right now let's see. Let's see if I'll just so now we have epic rap battles of history, Rasputin versus Stalin. Let's just randomly click on stuff and look for the blue eye to pop up on the screen. I know this thing has got to pop up at some point. Okay. See, this stuff's hard to catch. It's like trying to film a UFO, guys. I mean, is the hacker gonna want to give away that they're a hacker? No. So let's try. Trying to keep this. Okay. I swear I'm gonna get this on camera somehow. So here. See, now they can see me watching. So see that blue eye? You can see it right there. See, because it's not very smart, this program. See, now it's moving the phone. Now it's moving all by it's moving all by itself. See this, guys? Right, everybody, yeah, everybody obviously, everybody getting that. So now let's just tap something random and see if it does anything. So I just clicked on some random stuff. So, okay. You see, they are also looking at what my eyes specifically look at. So, let's see if we can trick them into showing up again on the screen. That blue eye that blinks there, that was not there when I got this phone. It showed up there when I started getting harassed and all the assassination attempts. Okay, it looks. See, every time I use the phone, I have to deal with this stupid thing. But they know that they're being watched right now. Let's type in Greys. And also, if they see that clicking sound, I have the clicking sound turned off. Aliens. That clicking sound, I have that turned off, but they turn it on at random. And it's as if they're saying, "Oh, ha ha ha, we're here, we're watching you." And when that happens, you just have to say, "Screw you."
Or I've flipped off the phone or the screen multiple times just because I'll get pissed off at them. Now we did see that blue eye blink once. I know we saw it once on there. So let's see. We've seen anything else? We can't seem to bait him into it again. All right. Well, I'll keep my. It looks like right when we're gonna run out of time. So, maybe later, well, I'll have more of trying